Paralyzed Millionaire was rejected by everyone, until the maid's daughter invited him to dance. In the glittering ballroom filled with dazzling lights and expensive suits, Ethan Montgomery, a billionaire, a powerful man, was once again the most invisible person of all. People noticed the wheelchair before they noticed the man. They avoided him, hesitated, feared him, as if a single glance might be enough to disturb their perfect world. Until in the middle of that cold, stifling silence, a small little girl, the daughter of a cleaning lady, stepped out from the crowd. She stopped right in front of him, reached out her tiny hand, and spoke a single sentence that would forever change the fate of 3 lives. That night, at the Montgomery Foundation's charity gala at the Museum of Modern Art in Manhattan, nothing was any different. Abstract paintings lined the walls. Wine shimmered in crystal glasses. Laughter rang out, mixed with whispered conversations about stocks, real estate, and M&A deals. Crystal chandeliers scattered glittering light across the polished wooden floor. And in the middle of it all, Ethan quietly guided his electric wheelchair forward, his face calm as if wearing a mask he had practiced for many years. He stopped beside a large glass window overlooking the glowing city of New York, the city that never sleeps and never cares what a man like him is thinking, what he is feeling. "Ethan, you really came," a woman's voice rang out behind him. He turned around and saw Harper Lane, an influencer and a billionaire heiress, her sequin dress sparkling like an artificial star. She flashed a smile that was a little too wide, slightly tilting her body so the photographer behind her could lift the camera in time. "Harper?" Ethan gave a small nod. "Nice to see you again." "We have to take a photo for Instagram. I guarantee it'll trend." He knew this game well. Harper needed him in the frame, paired with socially conscious captions. "Living is giving. Diversity and inclusion. Inspiration." But just as the photographer raised the camera, she suddenly hesitated. Let me think. The wheelchair might ruin the composition. You wouldn't mind if we save it for another time, right?" Without waiting for his answer, she had already turned away, walking toward a group of businessmen, laughing loudly. Ethan showed nothing. He had learned how to lock the pain deep inside. Each time he was brushed aside was just another thin cut on skin that had long gone numb. "Ethan, I wanted to talk to you about the data center project in Austin." Another man approached, Richard Hayes, the head of a major investment fund. "We can arrange a meeting next week," Ethan replied. "Wonderful idea. Talk to my assistant, will you? I'm terribly busy, you know." Richard spoke without looking at him, his gaze sliding past Ethan toward the crowd behind, as if searching for a more interesting partner. Less than a minute later, he had already walked away, the promised meeting left hanging in the air, hollow and empty. Ethan turned his wheelchair toward the exit. He had fulfilled his duty, appearing, smiling, shaking hands, allowing the press to write a few lines about billionaire Montgomery continuing to give back to the community after the tragic accident. All he wanted now was to return to his penthouse on the 70th floor overlooking Central Park, where at least silence was a choice he could make for himself. But just as he was about to leave the hall, the unexpected happened. Amid the sea of evening gowns and elegant suits, a small figure quietly weaved her way through. A little girl, about 5 years old, with brown hair tied into 2 small pigtails, wearing a simple cotton dress. Her worn fabric shoes stepped onto the luxurious red carpet as if she had no idea this was a place that was not meant for her. She stopped. Her large brown eyes slowly scanned the room, full of curiosity. She did not look afraid, only excited. And then her gaze met Ethan's. He waited for the familiar reaction: curiosity, awkwardness, the innocent yet sometimes cruel questions of children. Or worse, that she would suddenly turn away, just like so many adults had done. But instead, she smiled, a smile without calculation, one that lit up her entire small face. She walked straight toward him, each step slow but steady, as if the whole room had faded away, and only he remained. "Uncle," her voice was soft, "would you like to dance with me?" Time seemed to freeze. The music, the conversations, the clinking of glasses suddenly drifted far away. Only that simple question lingered between the two of them. Ethan opened his mouth, but his throat tightened. "You want to dance with me?" he asked hoarsely. She nodded. "Yes, the music is really nice, and I don't have anyone to dance with. You don't either, so we can be a team, right?" A burst of laughter rose somewhere behind them, quickly stifled. All eyes slowly turned toward them. A few women whispered. An elderly man raised his eyebrows. Somebody's child, clearly not meant for a place like this, had just dared to invite Ethan Montgomery to dance, right in front of everyone. "What's your name?" Ethan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "My name is Lily," she replied naturally, as if stating something entirely ordinary. "My mom is cleaning here today. What's your name?" "Ethan," he answered. "But you can just call me Ethan." She tilted her head thoughtfully, then her eyes brightened. "Then I'll call you Uncle E. It's shorter." "All right," Ethan said, and for the first time in many months, a real smile slowly appeared on his lips. "Uncle E agrees." Lily immediately stretched out her small hand, waiting for him to take it. He stared at that tiny distance as if it were a road 1,000 miles long. Then he reached out. Her little hand was warm, and it held his more firmly than he had expected. "Okay, Uncle E, now you roll your chair out to the middle of the floor," Lily said excitedly. "I'll dance around you." The electric wheelchair slowly moved toward the center of the hall. The dancing couples parted, instinctively clearing a space. No one said a word, but everyone was watching. The music continued. Lily began spinning around the chair. Her movements were clumsy, nothing like a proper waltz, but full of life. She waved her arms, lifted her hands, took tiny hopping steps, giggling every time she nearly tripped. "Uncle E, turn with me." Ethan carefully rotated his chair along with her laughter, feeling as if he truly were dancing with her. In a strange little dance, only the two of them understood. He no longer thought about the stairs. He no longer thought about the newspapers, the rumors. For those few brief minutes, he was simply a man dancing with a little girl in a place filled with music and light, until a frantic voice suddenly tore through the air. "Lily, what are you doing?" A woman in a navy blue uniform rushed over, eyes wide with fear. She clutched her mop as if it were the only thing she had to hold on to. "Mom, I'm just dancing," Lily said, stopping, panting, her cheeks flushed. The woman turned to Ethan, her face going pale. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mr. Montgomery. I told her to stay in the rest area at the back. She slipped out here. Please forgive us. Please don't report this to the cleaning company. I really need this job." She spoke so fast, she seemed unable to catch her breath. "What is your name?" Ethan asked gently. Elena Rodriguez," she replied, her eyes still filled with panic. I promise this won't happen again. I'll take her out right away." Ethan looked at her, the faint wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, her hastily tied hair, her faded sneakers. Then he looked at Lily, now hiding behind her mother, yet secretly peeking at him with regret and longing in her eyes. "No," Ethan said slowly. "Your daughter didn't do anything wrong." Elena blinked, as if she hadn't heard him correctly. "You don't need to apologize for her inviting me to dance. In fact—" He paused, his chest tightening with emotion. "That was the most beautiful moment I've had in a very, very long time." For a brief moment, Elena could only look at him. "Thank you," she whispered. "But still, I should take her back. She doesn't belong here." Lily timidly waved. "Goodbye, Uncle E. I was really happy dancing with you." "So was I, Lily," Ethan replied. "I was very happy to dance with you." Her mother led her away. The crowd slowly dispersed, the chatter rising again. But for Ethan, everything had already changed. That heavy weight in his chest suddenly felt a little lighter. That little girl had done what no adult had dared to do for years. She had treated him like a normal human being. 2 days later, a phone call nearly made Elena drop her phone. "Ms. Rodriguez, this is the manager from Manhattan Cleaning Services." "Yes, this is she." "We've just received a special request from a client. Mr. Ethan Montgomery would like to hire a full-time private cleaning staff member for his apartment on the Upper East Side, and he has specifically requested you by name." Elena could hardly believe her ears. But why?" "You're asking me? How would I know?" The manager laughed. "He's the biggest VIP client our company has. If he wants you, then you go. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., I'll send the address by email. Don't be late." That night, Elena lay awake on the old bed in the small one-bedroom apartment in Queens that she shared with Lily. Why would he want me? She wondered. Could it be that he's still angry because of Lily? If he were angry, why would he ask for me? Another voice in her head replied. Or maybe he simply needs a discreet cleaning lady. Don't overthink it. Elena stared at the stained ceiling. She had been working since she was 16, doing all kinds of jobs, but she had never once set foot in the home of someone like Ethan Montgomery. The thought made her both afraid and hopeful. Hopeful for a better income, for the chance to buy Lily a new winter coat before the cold season arrived. The next day, they stood in front of the lobby of a towering glass building near Central Park. Elena tightened her grip on Lily's hand. "Remember what I said. Stay beside me. No running." "I know," Lily replied, though her eyes were already glued to the sparkling ceiling, the paintings on the walls, and the sound of a piano floating from somewhere. At the 70th floor, Elena took a deep breath and pressed the doorbell. Ethan opened the door himself, one hand resting on the control of his wheelchair. He wore a simple white shirt and dark trousers, his brown hair slightly tousled. "Hello, Elena?" he said, his eyes softening when he saw Lily. "And hello to you too, Lily." "Uncle E?" Lily slipped out from behind her mother and rushed toward him, stopping just in time as she remembered the warning. She waved shyly, her smile timid. Hello?" "Come in," Ethan said, rolling his wheelchair back to make room. His penthouse was just as Elena had imagined, polished wooden floors, high ceilings, and floor-to-ceiling glass walls looking straight out over Central Park like a living painting. But what caught Elena's attention wasn't the expensive furnishings. It was the emptiness. No family photos, no children's toys, no signs of lived-in clutter. "I know you're wondering why I requested you," Ethan said as he wheeled into the living room. "The truth is, it's not just because you work well." Elena tightened her grip on her cleaning bag. "If what Lily did bothered you, I will—" "No," Ethan cut in. "On the contrary, what happened that night gave me something money can't buy. I wanted to repay it in some way." "Repay it?" Elena echoed, confused. "I want to hire you full-time. You'll work for me every day. Your salary will be double what you're currently earning with full benefits. And—" He paused slightly, as if considering his words. "I want you to bring Lily with you every day, if you agree." Elena froze. "You want my daughter to be here?" "Yes." "But why?" Ethan glanced at the empty sofa, then toward the glass wall where the city stretched endlessly beyond. "Because this place is very quiet," he said softly. "Too quiet. Lily brings laughter. She brings life. And you bring dignity and hard work. I really want the two of you here." "You don't have to do all this for us," Elena whispered. "Just because of one silly little dance, you're giving us such a big opportunity." "I do need to," Ethan interrupted, his voice firmer this time. You can think of it as kindness or selfishness. That's up to you. But the truth is... He glanced at Lily, who was now busily playing with the remote control on the table. She looked at me like a normal person, not like a tragic headline in the newspapers. I don't remember the last time anyone did that. Elena fell silent for a long moment. All the fears, caution, and suspicions of a life as a single mother surged through her. But beside her, Lily was looking around with shining eyes. All right, Elena finally said. I accept, but... But? Ethan asked. When I'm able to, I will repay you. Somehow, even if it takes many years. Ethan smiled. Deal. In the weeks that followed, the penthouse slowly began to change. On the fourth day, Lily pulled out a sheet of stickers, rainbows, stars, and little playful cats. Uncle E, your chair looks so sad, she said seriously. A hero's chair has to be cheerful. It needs decorations. Can I put stickers on it? Ethan looked at his electric wheelchair. His first instinct was to say no. But when he saw the hopeful look on Lily's face, the word got stuck in his throat. All right, he said. Really? Lily jumped with excitement. You won't regret it. Within half an hour, the $1,000,000 wheelchair had turned into a chaotic work of art, rainbows curving along both sides, golden stars on the armrests, and cats wearing astronaut helmets on the backrest. Elena nearly lost her breath when she stepped into the living room. Lily, what are you doing? Mr. Ethan, I'll peel all of this off. I'm so sorry. Don't, Ethan interrupted. Leave it. He turned the wheel slightly, studying it, then suddenly laughed, a short, clear laugh, so light that even he surprised himself. It looks fine, doesn't it? He said. Right, Lily? It looks like a superhero's chair, Lily said proudly. Now everyone who sees it will smile. Elena stood still for a moment. She realized there was something softening inside that smile, like a thick layer of ice beginning to melt on the surface of a frozen lake. The next day, Lily brought a drawing made with colored pencils. She handed it to Ethan, her face slightly flushed. Uncle E, this is you. The drawing showed a man sitting in a wheelchair covered with stickers, surrounded by golden rays like the halo children often draw. Beside him were a long-haired woman and a little girl with her hair tied into 2 pigtails. Above the 3 of them floated a large, bright red heart. You drew very beautifully, Ethan said softly. May I hang it somewhere? On the fridge, Lily suggested. At home, we always hang drawings on the fridge. And so, right in the middle of the shiny stainless steel surface of the refrigerator, the crooked little colored pencil drawing was taped up, completely out of place, yet somehow the only thing that made this place feel like home. Elena once caught Ethan standing in front of the fridge for a long time, just looking at the picture. She said nothing. She also began to notice small changes in him. He smiled more. He talked more. About his youth, coding through the night in a dorm room, about his first fundraising round, about the plane crash when he was 32. He didn't speak like a victim, but as if recounting his life to a single audience member who truly listened. Lily. And Lily responded with stories of kindergarten, of the tree in front of their home in Queens, of the neighbor who kept 3 cats and a dog with a stubby tail. There were afternoons when Elena was cleaning the kitchen, yet her ears were tuned toward the living room, listening as Lily read stories aloud to Ethan, changing her voice for each character, while Ethan commented like a child her own age. One evening, after Lily had gone home, Ethan called Elena over. Elena, may I ask you something personal? She paused, still holding the cleaning cloth. Yes. Is Lily's father part of her life? Elena froze. Her hand tightened on the edge of the cloth until her knuckles turned white. No, she said after a few seconds. When I told him I was pregnant, he told me to get rid of the baby. I kept my child, and he left. Since then, Lily has only had me." "I'm sorry for bringing up painful memories," Ethan said gently. "It's all right. I'm used to it." She shrugged, but her voice trembled slightly. "Lily doesn't need a man who abandoned her. She has this whole world to love her, if the world is willing to do so." Ethan looked at her. "Out of all the people I've met, you are the strongest." Elena smiled faintly. "No, I just didn't have a choice." The story might have continued peacefully like that if it weren't for Margaret Montgomery, the woman who had raised Ethan after his parents died in a car accident when he was 9 years old. Margaret had not visited the penthouse in months. When Ethan was still rising to the top of his career, she had been by his side at all times. But after the accident, when he survived in a wheelchair, she turned into an iron gatekeeper, determined to protect him from the entire world. The day she decided to visit, she gave no warning. She unlocked the door with the spare key and stepped inside. The sound of a child's laughter coming from the living room made her stop short. Margaret walked down the hallway, her high heels striking the wooden floor in steady, measured clicks. When she reached the living room doorway, she stopped. "What is going on here?" Her cold voice cut sharply through the laughter. Elena startled and turned around. Lily looked up, confused. Ethan closed his eyes for a second, then opened them. "Aunt Margaret," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "I didn't know you were coming." "Clearly?" She stepped inside, her eyes sweeping across the scene before her. A cleaning woman in uniform, a child, scattered Lego pieces. And on the wall, Lily's crooked little drawing. "Hey, hello, ma'am," Elena stammered. "I'm Elena. You're the cleaning woman. I understand," Margaret cut in coldly. "And who are you?" She turned to Lily. "My name is Lily," the little girl answered without fear. "I'm Uncle E's friend." "Friend?" Margaret raised an eyebrow. "Ethan, we need to talk privately." "You can say it in front of them," Ethan replied. "I have nothing to hide." Margaret took a deep breath. "Fine. Then tell me, what is all this supposed to mean? You allow your employee to bring her child here? Let her run around? Play on your floor like this?" "That's the agreement between Elena and me," Ethan said. "Lily stays here with her every day, and I'm happy about it." Margaret gave a thin smile. "Happy about what? About being taken advantage of again?" "You're insulting them," Ethan said, his jaw tightening. "I'm protecting you, Ethan. Don't you see that?" she shot back. "She knows you're lonely. She brings the child here, lets her call you Uncle E, puts stickers all over your wheelchair." She pointed sharply at the brightly decorated chair. "You worked your whole life to build all this, and now—" "That's enough, Aunt Margaret," Ethan said, his voice suddenly harder than it had ever been. Elena stood frozen, her face drained of color. Lily looked back and forth between the adults, sensing the air suddenly grow heavy. "You don't know anything about them," Ethan said. Margaret fell silent, but guilt and fear surged inside her. "Ethan, you've been betrayed enough already," her voice softened. "Fernanda, the woman you once loved, sold your story to the tabloids. Your friends abandoned you when you were no longer the cool genius. Do you really think a single mother who cleans houses will be kinder? Or is she just a better actress?" Elena felt as if she had been slapped. Her face burned, her ears rang. She began, but the words caught in her throat. "You will not talk about her like that," Ethan nearly roared. "Elena works harder than anyone I know. She has never demanded anything beyond the wages she deserves. And Lily?" He turned to the little girl, his eyes softening. "Lily is a good child." The air thickened, heavy and suffocating. "Lily, go into the kitchen and help Mommy for a bit," Elena said softly, forcing her voice to stay steady. You can take your Lego there to play." Lily slowly gathered the Lego pieces, hugging them to her chest. She looked at Ethan and whispered, "Is Uncle E okay?" "I'm fine," Ethan forced a smile. "Go with your mom." When only the two of them remained, Margaret sank into a chair. "You're gambling your heart on something that isn't real, Ethan," she said quietly. "Don't you see it? You long for a family so badly that you're clinging to anything that even looks like one, no matter how fragile and unrealistic it may be." "You're wrong," Ethan replied. "What's unrealistic is forcing me to live alone my entire life just so I won't be hurt again." Margaret closed her eyes briefly. She gathered back the hardness she had used for years to shield the orphaned boy she once protected. "Fine," she said. "If you believe in them that much, then I will look into it." Margaret hired a private investigator. Within 1 week, Elena's life was turned upside down. The results left Margaret irritated because there was nothing she could use against her. Elena Rodriguez, 29 years old, had worked every kind of job: waitress, cashier, and finally settled into cleaning. No major debts, no criminal record, no suspicious relationships. Neighbors said she was a mother who paid her rent on time whenever possible, sometimes 1 week late, but always fully paid, and cared for her daughter as if caring for her entire life. And that was what irritated Margaret the most, because when there was no clear reason to doubt, only one simple truth remained. She had been wrong, but admitting she was wrong had never been Margaret Montgomery's strength. One afternoon, while Ethan was in a meeting, Margaret returned to the penthouse. Elena opened the door and startled when she saw her. "Mr. Ethan isn't home, ma'am," she said politely but cautiously. "I know," Margaret replied. "I came to see you." Elena swallowed. "Please, come in." Lily, who was drawing at the dining table, looked up. "Hello, ma'am," the little girl said. "You're Uncle E's aunt, right?" "That's right," Margaret nodded, trying to keep her tone cool. "What are you drawing?" "I'm drawing a family," Lily said brightly. "This is my mom, this is me, and this is Uncle E. We're holding hands." For a brief moment, Margaret felt her throat tighten. "Lily, go into your room and get a few more crayons for Mommy," Elena said gently. When Lily ran off, only the two women remained in the kitchen. Margaret straightened her back, her hands clasped together. "You need to stop this." "Stop what?" Elena asked. "Letting your daughter believe she can call my nephew her family. Letting Ethan believe that one day you might—" Margaret paused, choosing her words. "Stay. All of this is just an illusion, and when the illusion shatters, someone will be deeply hurt." "I have never promised anything," Elena said, struggling to keep her voice calm. "I am here to work. I bring my child because he asked me to, and because I see that he is kind to her." "Kindness is not enough," Margaret replied. "Ethan is in love." Elena froze. "Do you think I'm blind?" Margaret continued. "I know the posture of a man when he begins to believe he might have a family. You know it too, and you know you cannot give him what he is imagining." Elena murmured, "I never meant to hurt him." "Then step back before it's too late," Margaret said more softly. "Lily will suffer when she loses her Uncle E. He will suffer when he loses both of you. But that pain will be far less than letting this illusion grow for a few more years, only to end in disaster." She turned and left, leaving Elena standing alone. That night, Elena could not sleep. "Elena, who do you think you are?" she asked herself. "His world and your world are two parallel lines. You only wandered into his path for a short distance, then you must return." The next day, Ethan immediately sensed that something was wrong. Elena was quieter. She spoke only when necessary and avoided spending time in the living room. Lily smiled less, even though she still tried to act cheerful around him. One Friday afternoon, while Lily was coloring, Ethan called Elena over. "We need to talk," he said. Elena set the cleaning cloth down and turned to face him. "Is it because of my aunt?" Elena bit her lip. "She only said the things I have always known." "What did she say?" Ethan asked in a low voice. "That Lily and I don't belong here," Elena replied, her eyes fixed on her hands. "That you are painting a dream of a family that I don't have the right to step into." "Do you believe her?" Ethan asked. "You think I've never asked myself that?" Elena lifted her head and looked straight at him for the first time. "Who are you, Ethan? A tech billionaire, the head of a charity foundation, a man on magazine covers. And who am I? A woman who scrubs floors, a single mother. What are we, if not a temporary misunderstanding of fate?" "No," Ethan said, his voice suddenly choking with emotion. "This is not a misunderstanding." "You want it not to be," Elena answered, her eyes wet. "You've been lonely for too long, so anything that looks like a family feels like a miracle to you." "And what about you?" Ethan asked. "Don't you feel anything when you're here? When Lily runs into this house calling me Uncle E? When you stop wiping the table just to listen to me and her arguing about the neighbor's cat?" Elena took a deep breath, fighting back her tears. "It's because I feel too much that I have to stop," she whispered. "I can't let my daughter grow up in a story whose ending has already been written." "And what is that ending?" Ethan asked, almost pleading. "The day you meet someone more suitable," Elena replied. "A woman with education, with status, who can stand beside you at galas without making your aunt frown. That day will come, Ethan, and I can't let Lily watch you walk away." Again. Again. The word fell between them like a stone. "My ex-husband abandoning me was enough," Elena said. "I can't gamble my heart and my child's heart ever again." "You're deciding for me, and for Lily," Ethan said, his voice trembling. "I am her mother," Elena replied, her eyes tightly shut. "That is what I have to do." She turned away, moving so quickly it was as if she were afraid she would change her mind if she stayed even 1 second longer. The next morning, Ethan woke up in a house so silent he could hear his own heartbeat, the familiar silence of the months before Elena and Lily had entered his life. He called Elena. The phone rang, then fell into an endless, unanswered void. He called the cleaning company. They told him Elena had taken unpaid leave, without giving any reason. For 3 days, Ethan only left his bed to sit in the chair by the window. He looked out at Central Park, then at the refrigerator with the drawing of 3 people holding hands. New York's sky changed every hour, yet for him, time seemed trapped in a single morning. During those same 3 days, Margaret also did not sleep well. The image of Ethan shouting, "You're not allowed to talk about them like that," replayed in her mind over and over. Elena's tearful eyes, the drawing on the dining table, the sticker-covered wheelchair. She thought of the 9-year-old boy who lost his parents on a rainy night, of the young man who buried himself in computer screens to forget the emptiness of a family's absence, of the man lying in a hospital bed after the plane crash. All those years she had fought the world to protect Ethan, but she had never once asked herself, would there come a day when she herself became the very thing she hated most, a wall that imprisoned him? On the 4th day, Margaret asked the cleaning company for Elena's address. Then she went to Queens. Elena's apartment was in an old brick building. The smell of food and cigarette smoke hit the hallway the moment one stepped inside. Elena opened the door. "Ma'am," she stammered, "how did you find my address?" "I have my ways," Margaret replied, forcing a small smile. "May I come in?" Elena hesitated for a second, then opened the door wider. "Where is Lily?" Margaret asked. "In her room," Elena said. "She's doing her homework." "Sweetheart, we have a guest?" Lily peeked out from the bedroom doorway. When she saw Margaret, she hesitated briefly, but still spoke politely. "Hello, ma'am." Margaret looked at the child, her chest tightening. "I have a question for you, Lily." "Stit?" "Yes?" "If one day you could live in a big house with many books, a view of the park, and someone who called you their daughter, would you want that?" "As long as my mom is there too," Lily answered without the slightest hesitation. "And Uncle E as well." Margaret swallowed the warmth rising in her throat. "I understand." Lily ran back into her room, leaving the two women alone. "I came here to apologize," Margaret said. Elena blinked, thinking she had misheard. "Apologize? To me?" "I let fear and bad experiences control me," Margaret said slowly. "I've seen too many people take advantage of him, to the point that I forgot there are still good people in the world. I treated you and your daughter like a threat, when in truth—" She paused, her voice lowering. "Since you and Lily came into Ethan's life, he has come alive again. I haven't seen him like that since the accident." "I never wanted to hurt him," Elena whispered. "I know," Margaret replied, "and that's why I'm here. If you truly don't want to hurt him, then give him, and give yourself and Lily, a chance. Don't let fear make the decision for you." Elena gave a bitter smile. "You make it sound so easy." "I'm not saying I'm not afraid," Margaret admitted. "If this fails, Ethan will be hurt once again. But if we never try, he will hurt for the rest of his life." Elena fell silent. No one had ever put it that way to her before. "If you give up this chance simply because you think you're not worthy, what will you teach, Lily?" Margaret asked softly. "That people like us are only allowed to watch happiness from afar. That when someone opens a door, the proper thing is to step back?" Elena said nothing, but her hands clenched the hem of her clothes, her chest rising and falling. "We can't be sure everything will turn out well," Margaret said, "but I will be here. If Ethan hurts, I will be with him. If you hurt, I will be with you. If Lily hurts—" She smiled. "I will be the grandmother who spoils her so much she forgets what sadness feels like." Elena laughed through her tears. "Do you really believe things can turn out well?" she asked. "I don't know," Margaret admitted. "But for the first time in a very long while, I see a future for Ethan, and I don't want to be the one who ruins it anymore." Lily ran out of the room, holding a new drawing. "Mom, I drew Uncle E. Let's take it to him." Elena looked at the picture. This time there were 4 people: herself, Lily, Ethan, and a silver-haired woman sitting at the same table. She looked at the drawing, at her daughter, then at Margaret. The fear was still there. But for the first time, hope was a little stronger. "All right," she said. "Let's take it to Uncle E." The penthouse doorbell rang. Ethan was sitting near the door, his heart racing. He wasn't expecting visitors. He wasn't expecting deliveries either. He had stopped expecting anything for 3 days now, just to avoid being disappointed. When the door opened, Elena stood there holding Lily's hand. Margaret stood slightly behind them, like an escort, not a gatekeeper. "Uncle E!" Lily cried out, letting go of her mother's hand and throwing her arms around his neck. "I missed you so much." Ethan wrapped his arms around the child, his eyes stinging. "I missed you too, Lily." Elena stepped forward, her eyes full of guilt. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I left without explaining anything clearly. I was just afraid." "I was too," Ethan said, smiling through tears. "I was afraid you wouldn't come back." He looked at Margaret. "Did you bring them here, Aunt?" "No," Margaret replied, her lips curving gently. "I only showed them the way." Ethan turned back to face Elena. "You said you couldn't help me continue an illusion. I want to make this clear so you understand. I don't want an illusion." He took a deep breath. I want a family. And when I say family, I don't mean a perfect woman on magazine covers. I mean you, Lily, the silly stickers on my wheelchair, the laughter echoing through this house. I don't know what the future will be like, but I know I want to walk into it with the two of you." Elena broke down in tears, unable to stop them from spilling. "I want that too," she said through sobs. Lily wedged herself between them, wrapping her arms around both their necks. "So, does that mean we're really a family now?" she asked, her eyes sparkling. Ethan looked at Elena, then at Margaret standing by the door with eyes red as well. "Yes," he said, "we are a family."